What's up, guys? I got the keys here, back with another video. So, I didn't realize how much of my life, was controlled by what other people think, right? Um, and until I started letting go of that perception, um, and, you know, until I started letting go of that, and once I did, it's like everything started to change, right? um, how I moved, how I spoke, um, even how I saw myself, But I also want to say it's not as simple as just stop caring, right? Um, there's a deeper reason as to why we all do it. And, you know, for example, when I realized that I cared too much about what people thought is initially when I started this, right? Um, my worries were, oh, what are people going to think? They're going to think I'm weird. They're going to think I'm crazy, um, et cetera. You guys know what that's like with the spiritual awakening. I mean, it just comes with it, I guess. But there's like those moments of, these people aren't going to believe me. People aren't going to accept what I have to say, blah, blah, blah. But this is just your ego chatting away, right? Um, it's like I was scared to post things on my normal, um, social medias and stuff because I was scared of what people might think or, again, the crazy part or, think I'm strange. But, even in decisions, like sometimes we won't make a certain decision because we think that, oh, our friends aren't going to like that decision. Oh, my family's not going to like that decision. But how do you feel about it? That's what's most important is, was this your highest thought and your best thought in that moment? And how did that make you feel? Because that'll tell you if it's the right way. Um, this can show up as overthinking, holding back from doing things, right? Like I just said with, stalling decisions or posting or anything, right? This could come as acting different around certain people, putting on a certain display for this person and, a display for this person. But see, I've learned to always be the same person no matter where I'm at. So, I'm spiritual. I'm not trying to hold that as an identity or anything, but to explain myself here, I'm a little bit more spiritual than what most people are. And so I still show up that way to people that may not be so spiritual, right? I don't give a fuck. Um, it's who I am. If you don't like me, you don't have to be around me, right? And that's the point I've gotten to. And it's not about being arrogant or, being a dickhead. It's just that, I've accepted myself as this person. And I'm not going to change myself for other people to accept me. Because even if I change myself to some other person, they would find something wrong with that version, right? So there's a shift that comes with this, and it's like you start choosing yourself more, right? Um, again, not in an arrogant way, but a grounded way, right? Of okay, like I need to change me. I need to work on me. I need to um, upgrade my own life. And don't make that an identity either, right? Because you don't always want to be healing and changing yourself, and which, not that change is bad, but constantly getting stuck in like a cycle of, oh, I need to heal this. I need to basically stating that you're not already perfect in a sense to God, right? Not like egotistical perfect, right? Um so like what changed for me was I got more confidence, right? I started to walk in rooms and not give a fuck. And I mean, excuse my language, but that's really how it is. You just start not to give a fuck. And you might have more peace, just more. You walk into a room and you're just calm. You're calm about things that come up in life. You're calm about, um, you know, posting the video. You're calm about making your music and putting it out because you don't care anymore. You're moving for you. Um, Also less mental noise, less of that mind chatter because you don't have all these people's voices in your head, telling you, oh, you shouldn't do that because this, and this. And well, if I listen to you, then I'll never get anywhere. Right. Um, and I also want to tell a real truth here is that, um, you don't ever fully stop caring, right? You're always going to have this in the back of your head of, what do they think? Blah, blah, blah. Right. But you just stop letting it control your entire life, right? You stop letting it control you. And I think that's the most important part here is to realize that you shouldn't let other people's opinions and judgments, for that matter, affect who you are internally. Okay. Um, Again, you are the most important person in your life. Doesn't mean other people aren't important to you, but you come first because if there's no you, you don't have a life, right? Um, so, regardless of what happens in life and who you are, it doesn't matter. People are always going to have something to say about you, okay? But the real question is, are you going to live your life based on that or based on who you really are? So that would be the question I would ask yourself. So, with that being said, if you are struggling with how others perceive you, um, or anything of that sort, I would love to help you. And my email is down in the description if you would love to get on a one-on-one with me and we can talk through this, figure it out. They're 30-minute calls for $20 each. So again, email will be down in the description. Just send me, help, your name, blah, 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 and we'll set up the appointment. Okay. Um, with that being said, I would love if you guys would like, share, comment, subscribe so we can get this message out to more people so they can get their content out, whatever that might be. Okay. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace.